So we'll move on to the second question, which is a bit lengthy, but Ms. Hurley, this one is yours first. Unify Ed and Chattanooga 2.0 are both committed to ensuring equity for all of our young people in Hamilton County. Together we define equity as, and I quote, all students reaching their full potential by ensuring that they have access to the resources and supports that meet their individual needs. In practice, equity will show itself in our work in the policies we support, the conditions we enable, the coalitions we mobilize, and the systems we seek to improve. We know one half of our schools are schools of concentrated poverty where 80% or more of the student body is eligible for free and reduced lunch. Additionally, given the large size of our district, we know that rural communities can also be isolated from city center resources and opportunities. Historically, across the country and in our county, we have struggled to ensure racial and socioeconomic integration of our public schools, a strategy that research has shown to be effective for improving student outcomes. As a school board member, what specific strategies will you employ to ensure a plan is developed and implemented to fully integrate our public schools to ensure equity for all our young people?
So, aside from the controversy that's happened over the last few weeks, I will say that racial and socioeconomic integration is needed. If we look nationally, yes, it is something that we see, it's a problem. What I will say is that there are more things that connect us. We have so many things that that bring us together. We have so many other commonalities than we do differences. And I believe that's something that we can find a way to bring racial and socioeconomic integration to the table that may not be what we think it has to be. One way in doing that is through models that already exist in our community. We have so many schools, from the Center for Creative Arts to Rivermont Elementary to CSAS to CSLA, that are integrated, that are thriving. If not all of these schools are thriving. That's our model. That's something that we can utilize to say, what are the things that bring us together? What are those interests? What are those gifts and talents and those likes that help our children feel like they belong, that help them thrive, that cater to those gifts that they have, that nurture those talents, that those teachers have an ability to speak to them because they have the same shared values, the same gifts and the same talents. So they have built-in mentors on top of that. So that's one way that I see that we can integrate our schools. And I do also know that this is a multifaceted approach, so it's not relying solely on one person. It takes all of us working together. That includes the school board, that includes our county commission, that includes our community having input from our parents and our teachers, those who will be directly invested in our children's lives. So that's the way that I see it. And I will say also that with a background in mental health, if you take, for example, a child who, let's say one of the stereotypical things that boys don't do is dance. Okay? So if you take a child who is in a system where he is ostracized and alienated because of a gift like dancing, and you place him in a school where there are other boys who love to dance just like he does, he has an opportunity to thrive. His mental health is something that we have an opportunity to cater to and nurture and pour into. So I do believe that we have an opportunity to provide a system where our children can thrive, and that's one way to do it. And we can be fiscally responsible with that. We can find a way to do that. So I believe that in being fiscally responsible, we can fulfill the needs of our children and our community and our teachers and our parents and our staff as a whole. So.
Do you have a specific strategy in mind for accomplishing that?
A specific strategy for accomplishing that. So as far as a specific strategy, what that looks like is taking we already have the models in place from our schools that exist. The strategy that I have is putting into place schools that are based on interests and that are based on likes, not based on racial and socioeconomic, because those schools are already integrated. They're the most diverse schools in the county. So if we model our strategies after something that already exists, then, does that answer your question? Then we don't, that's easy. I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel is my point. There are models that exist that we can cater our community to.
Thank you. Let me answer your question first by telling you a kind of a short story. Over the years, Miss America, who happens to be my wife, and I have taken in a lot of kids into our home, and every time we take one in, we give them an option. You can either stay in your home school, or you can go to the school that we are zoned for, in other words, where our home is at. Oftentimes, they would want to go to the school we're zoned for, but more than often, they want to stay in their home school with their friends, where they grew up. That's where they're comfortable. Most of the time, these kids are failing. There are discipline problems. Their life is a mess. But after being with us a while, grades begin to improve. Behavior goes away. Got one here tonight. I'm telling his story. He stayed in his same school. He's in our home. There's stability. There's accountability. Grades coming up. But he's got the same friends. He's got the same teachers. He's got the same schools. None of that changed. We don't talk much about parents. We just don't. You know, the Apex report talked about it very little. That report calls for social, economic desegregation or integration based on poverty and race, or poverty and race. And that's where I had a little parting of the ways with that plan. Now let me just kind of pull over the side of the road right here for just a second, because I want to make sure everybody understands. In no form or fashion is Joe Smith opposed to the integration of public schools. Now, I've been accused of that, but if you know me, my life is a testimony to just the opposite. Listen, we're doing some great things. I think that any child, regardless of race or color or gender or identity, ought to be able to go to any school they want to. They should. It's called open enrollment. Now, they got to figure out a way to get there. If they're making a choice to go to a school of its own, and if there's room, they got to find a way to get there. And what a great way for an advocacy group like Unified Ed to help us figure that out, so that those kids have that opportunity. I have some other things to say. I know we've got some schools in our district that are not integrated the way they should be. Hickson High School is not one of them. Come walk the halls of this school. You'll see a lot of diversity. We got some that aren't. Why? That's where those people live. We got some schools in the inner city that don't have any Caucasian kids. Why? That's where those people live. So we got to figure out a way to provide services in those communities where they live. I'm for open enrollment, I'm for integration, and I'm for community schools.
And I guess the same question that I had for Ms. Hurley, do you have a specific strategy for implementing that?
Well, your question was, what would I do to social, economically, racially integrate schools? And I said, I don't agree with that philosophy. So maybe you didn't understand my answer. So if I don't agree with that philosophy, obviously I don't have a plan. I have some more things I'd love to say about all that, if I may. Again, we have a few schools in Hamilton County that have been identified by the state as failing schools. And we've all heard about that. And the state threatened to come in, take them over, and Dr. Johnson came, and we developed the opportunity zone. We're doing some creative things, and then the state backed away. Listen, in some of our, what we call failing schools, we've got some gifted teachers. We got some great administrators. We do. Those teachers in those schools have the hardest job of anybody in Hamilton County. Because here's what happens. They go to school, they got to be the parent, they got to be the nurse, they got to be the social worker, they got to be everything to that child. And then somewhere along the line, that teacher gets to do what they've been trained to do, and that's teach a classroom. So this year's budget allows additional resources for those schools. We've hired new guidance counselors, new art teachers. We're providing a lot of resources for those high-risk schools. And I know that Dr. Johnson is committed, the board is committed to do more when resources become available to do this. And once again, I think it's important. I want to say it again, say it once. But our District 3, this school right here, I'm so proud, and I see one of the principals, Dr. Williams, is here. This is a great school. And again, if you want to see diversity and how it works, come to Hickson High School and see the things that they're doing.
So I would say to that we have two Chattanoogas, and we have a Chattanooga where we have needs, we have gaps in our community where our children are not being provided with the things that they need to thrive. And we have a Chattanooga where parents have the resources and the ability to fulfill needs for those children. With the budget that's currently in place, we know that it's not enough. We know that we have a lot of needs that aren't being fulfilled. So how do we go about fulfilling those needs, and how do we look strategically long term to what's going to be best for our children? So if we propose that we do nothing, what happens? Do we stop growing? Chattanooga is growing exponentially, and we have to change and grow with it. And if we choose to do nothing, it's based on the way that we're doing, the direction that we're going, there's not much that will change the lives of the children of Hamilton County. So I do believe that there is something that we need to do, and we still need to go about making a difference and making a change. So,
Mr. Smith, have a minute?
gets another one.
Well, that was a follow-up question, so he gets a minute to rebut what you were going to.
Listen, we're getting ready to, one of the most exciting things that I don't think we've talked about enough. We're getting ready to launch 17 what we call Future Ready Institutes. Essentially, they're magnet schools. And they're going to be all over the district, different emphasis at different schools. And so young people have the opportunity, once they get their high school diploma, they're also going to have a marketable skill, whether it be a CNA or a welder or whatever. There's several of them. And my goodness, that's going to increase our diversity across the whole county, because we'll have kids from all over the city picking out which school they want to attend. We still got a challenge. We've got to figure out how we're going to get them that. And that's where advocacy groups can step in and help us